x100v? Yeah, it's really good. Fuji x100v, best camera I ever used, worth the hype. If you really want to be a photographer, this should be your first camera. You convinced me. Hey yo, where all the cameras at, man? eBay? FujiFilm x100v. Hey yo!
Hey yo. So it seems like the FujiFilm is everyone's favorite camera, and I was like, man, I gotta figure out the reason why they love this camera so much. So I've had one for a while now. I've had one for about a year, but it hasn't been my favorite camera. I actually much prefer shooting with film cameras. Like I'm not sure if that's a stable connection. Give me 1 second. I actually prefer shooting with film cameras. Things like this, my Canon AE1. I find it just, in terms of for fun value, I'd rather take this around, especially when the light is nice. It's small. I love the colors that come from this even more than the Fujifilm's colors. I feel like you can't really beat film. I think all cameras do today is trying to emulate kind of like old film, like Portrait, for example. So I'm like, instead of trying to always emulate that look, why not just go with something that's real, like just shooting real film. So this is a camera that I love to use the most. But as you can see, it's I live in Seattle, and it gets dark out here at like 6 o'clock. It's not looking too hot, to be honest. And film does not do well in dark situations, so I was like, you know what? Let me bust back out the x100v again. So I got one right here. And it's beautiful. But I was wondering, thinking to myself, like, why have people love this camera so much? The inside is pretty much the same as any other Fuji camera. It uses the same XT trans, or the X trans 4 sensor. And the lens on it is pretty good. It's nothing like crazy. It's nothing like a Zeiss lens or any Leica lens or anything like that. But you know, it's not bad. It's quite decent. I think it's quite good. But I've come to a conclusion, and that conclusion is, I think for a digital camera that looks nice and feels nice to bring around town. I mean, look at it. It's a gorgeous looking digital camera. It's really small. Let me show you what it's being compared to. Alright, so I think most photographers these days are more familiar with cameras like this. Things that are reminiscent of the DSLR days. We kind of moved on to mirrorless, but this thing is fucking massive compared to this. Right? I mean, this thing is like maybe like 4 or 5 times the weight of the Fuji. And I've come to find that although things like autofocus, overall image quality, and handling, battery life, like just all these features, video that you can get from a camera like this, but the camera's big. The camera's really big, and this camera is not that big, and technology is supposed to get smaller, not bigger usually. And cameras have gone bigger over the last like 15 years, trying to pack more features in for professionals all the time. But I think what people really miss is just having something that's super, super small. Here's a Canon AE1 next to the Fuji. It's a lot more of a comparable size now. Like, not bad at all, wouldn't you think? I think that's why people like this camera so much. It also comes with an old school little flash as well. Let me show you this. Turn it to TTL mode, and then if your scene's a little bit too dark, you can just bang it. Comes out with a nice beautiful flash color. So